Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and when I spent a week with the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid, I was so impressed by the vehicle's ability to please so many different aspects of the driving experience, whether it was day-to-day usability, comfort, refinement, technology. It aced it all so well to the point that it won 2024 Daily Motor Car of the Year. So I reached out to Hyundai and I said, hey, I gotta get in another Santa Fe in order to shoot the Car of the Year video, but I want to get into the most different model possible. So I got this XRT. This one features a 2.5 liter turbocharged motor paired up to a dual clutch automatic transmission, which essentially means it's less efficient but more powerful than the hybrid that we drove earlier last year. And this is the XRT model, which is essentially a mid-level SCL trim equipped with all-terrain Continental terrain contact tires, 18-inch wheels, an extra 1.3 inches of ground clearance, bringing it to 8.3, and some blacked out styling bits and a few little XRT badges around it. So essentially, it's the Santa Fe that you would use if you tend to do more off-road oriented sort of things. Now, this is not going to be a rock crawler. It's not going to be something like a Toyota 4Runner replacement. However, it is going to allow you to do dirt roads and camping trails and hiking paths, those sort of things, easier and more confidently. And if you plan on towing with the Santa Fe, this one has up to 4,500 pounds of tow capability on a braked trailer. So I see fewer people actually using this to tow 4,500 pounds, but what it does mean is you can legally and safely put up to 450 pounds on the hitch. So if you want to do things like put electric bicycles on a hitch carrier or something like that, you can safely do so with this model. So in this video, we're going to go through my pros and cons after spending more than a week with this version of the Santa Fe. And right off the bat, I like the XRT model, but I still prefer the hybrid. The hybrid Santa Fe is my preference. This one is good though if you want to do, like I said, a little bit more of that lifestyle-y sort of activity, but still want a good on-road daily driver with the ability to take 7 people, although I highly recommend that your third row passengers are little. So if you do want to see more on the Santa Fe, check the link below. We've got a dedicated fuel economy test for both this one and the hybrid. We've got a sound system test on this 6-speaker sound system and the 12-speaker Bose and the calligraphy that we tested. And I think we have an infotainment breakdown as well on the 12.3-inch infotainment screen. So a lot of coverage on the Santa Fe, and it's because I like it quite a bit. A little bit more of a brief overview. You can see even with the third row seats up, you've got enough space for some luggage or a stroller. A tad bit of underfloor storage in this gas model. You can fold these seats down super easily and get a perfectly flat load surface back here. And this is how I typically recommend these mid-size crossover 3 rows to be used, is someone who doesn't have more than 2 children and is simply using the third row occasionally, maybe for kids' friends, or you're on a road trip without much cargo and each kid wants their own row or something like that. But if you're going to be using the third row primarily and every day for your children, then get yourself a larger crossover or ideally a minivan. But this is nice for typically having this down, getting a ton of cargo area, and then when there are children back here, they can fit. They've got their own climate control, interestingly enough, fan speed even in this SEL model. And look at this. I can fold down these second row seats from right here. That's really nice because this is a huge amount of storage. And I suppose if you are getting the XRT model, you might actually want to use this for camping. And I can tell you at 5'10", I can lay right here and the driver's seat is in my position. I can fit, however, my head is sort of going past the seat. So I think if I didn't have a sleeping platform, something like a mattress to stick over there, I might lay diagonally like this. Yeah, that's pretty darn comfortable. But what I could actually do is get some sort of mattress setup that goes all the way to the edge, and then Alyssa and I could actually both sleep back here. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, someone might want to car camp out of their Santa Fe. I think it's neat to have that ability. Very easy to pull up these third row seats. Power close lift gate. This is a nifty little feature you get on the calligraphy and the XRT models. A little handle that you can lock or unlock, and then use that for getting up onto the roof easier, which again is a nice thoughtful feature from Hyundai, because if you're going to be using this maybe for car camping in there, you're going to want to put things on some crossbars up on the top of the Santa Fe, and this handle helps you climb up there. So, just a small but helpful aspect of this vehicle. Very easy to slide this, get into the third row. And like I said, this isn't the type of vehicle that you're going to want to be using this third row a lot, or for adults, but in a pinch or for smaller children, it does work well. This seat is still quite a bit forward, but my knees are up. Wouldn't want to be here for maybe more than an hour, but I can handle it. However, the second row is quite a bit more comfortable. The XRT model comes in this dark color. The front seats have little XRT badges, none in the rear seats, but we do have flip-down armrest. We've got cubby back here. We have the ability to access the front center console area right from there. Seat back pockets on both sides. Windows that go all the way down. A few different cup holders and storage areas. Good amount of headroom. No panoramic sunroof on the XRT and SEL model here. And then getting into the front, we see one of my favorite cabins on the market. Just great functionality. We're going to talk about that more in the pros category, but you see a lot of places to put things and good amount of technology. But without any further ado, let's get into my first con, and that is, on this XRT model, you don't get a heated steering wheel. Now, I understand saving the heated steering wheel for more of the premium level trims. However, if you're going to make an off-road and lifestyle-y sort of vehicle, just give it the heated steering wheel. Come on, we've got heated seats. I'm okay without having ventilated seats, that's fine. But how often are you going to be using this on a hike or doing something outdoors? You're going to get in, your hands are going to be cold. It'd be so nice to be able to get in and turn on that heated steering wheel. So that's something I'd like to see for future XRT models. Next, and you will notice that some of these cons are pretty subtle because I do like this car a good bit. However, this nifty center console that opens both ways comes with a downside, and that is that the side of it is hard. Now, it's still wrapped in a softer leatherish type of material, but it's a hard plastic, and depending on how your elbows lay while you're holding onto the steering wheel, you got to fight this hard plastic with your elbow while this part is soft. So I respect the design. I just wish it didn't come at the cost of having a hard elbow spot. For my next con, we need to start the Santa Fe up and get driving, because it's something that a lot of people love to come into the comments and talk about. And again, this is kind of a nice element of having already published a review on this model, is that I know what a lot of people are going to say. And yes, I'm fully with you. The dual clutch automatic transmission was not the move for this car. Now, the 2024 gasoline models had issues. They had recalls. People had transmissions go out with very few miles on the vehicle. Not a good situation. Now, Hyundai did their best to rush out and repair those and push out recalls and improve the transmission situation. So theoretically speaking, these 2025 gas models should be more reliable. So I'm not going to speculate too much and necessarily put the reliability of the transmission as a con. Now, if it broke down on me, that'd be one thing. But I can at least objectively say that the dual clutch automatic is not going to be as smooth in all driving situations as a conventional automatic transmission, and dual clutch automatics by their nature tend to not be as reliable long term as conventional automatic transmissions. It's just the way that they operate, the way the clutches have to slide together. Even if they're wet clutches and even if they're calibrated just such to be reliable, they just are not as likely to last hundreds of thousands of miles the way most well taken care of conventional automatic transmissions can. And on top of that, stop and go traffic situations and general day-to-day city type driving, I don't see the reason for a dual clutch. And then also with towing, you're not going to want to be putting a lot of weight and doing slow towing maneuvers with a dual clutch automatic transmission. So I understand why they use the DCT for something like the Sonata N-Line that's designed to be sporty. Maybe they use the dual clutch in this model in order to improve fuel economy a little bit, because if you're not moving around the fluid in a conventional automatic transmission, you're getting more of a direct lockup like this all the time. Dual clutches can be a little bit more fuel efficient, but most brands that have used dual clutch automatic transmissions for their non-sports type cars, it hasn't gone well for them. So I'm disappointed that Hyundai decided to go that route, and that is why, outside of getting this XRT model, I would pick the hybrid that does not have the DCT. My last con with the XRT comes down to the highway driving assist. Now, for years, Hyundai has had one of the best active lane keeping functionalities on the market. However, whether it's due to this one not having the top level of highway driving assist or something has changed, I don't know exactly what the issue is. But especially after having done the highway fuel economy test on this one, using the active lane keeping just ends up being more frustrating than it's worth. You used to be able to essentially set your cruise control here, and the car would so confidently take you through lanes that you could sort of just rest your hand on the wheel, let it do the driving, and you kind of just reminded that you're here. But this system is not as confident, and especially in sharper corners, I find it either failing and twisting over into another lane, or giving me a lack of confidence that I don't feel comfortable, and I'm having to adjust the steering wheel, and then I'm fighting it, and the wheel is heavy. Even right now, it's a fight to take it through. And I know right now I'm in a construction area, but this was happening throughout the route last night. So I've actually found myself turning it off for a lot of driving, and that's frustrating because I used to really enjoy using Hyundai's active lane keeping. Maybe it's a little bit better when you get the top level system. I don't seem to remember being frustrated by it in the calligraphy, but man, so many cars just stopped on the side of the road here. I would rather not even have it on my vehicle than have it auto come on and not be that good. Back here, static, getting into the pros on the Santa Fe XRT, and I'm going to come right out and say it, I'm putting styling as a pro for this vehicle. I've made a lot of videos on the Santa Fe at this point, and a lot of people like to come into the comments and say, oh, this is such a hideous vehicle, it's such a shame, it's so ugly, especially the rear. Hopefully with the shadow here you can still kind of see it. Maybe I'll flip the car around. I will admit, the rear is a bit frumpy. It's very down low. These tail lights coming down really far, and because they did this cool design element where they tucked the rear wiper up into sort of the spoilerish area, it's got a very clean look that we're not really used to on the rear end of cars. However, I have two responses to that. One, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I quite like how this car looks, especially in this color. I'll have to put the name of it down here below, but I quite like having a true color on a car, and I like how they've styled the Santa Fe. I just really do. I like the H's and the lights in the front and rear. I like the boxiness. I like the contrast. I think it looks good. And if you think it's ugly, I would argue that ugly is better than boring. So many people didn't even know about the previous generations of Santa Fe because they're just plain boring looking type of cars. And so many vehicles in this midsize category are just meh. They're just kind of there. They're conservatively styled. So the fact that this Santa Fe actually stands out does two things. One, makes it so you're not bored of your car after 3 months. And two, people notice this going down the road. It turns their heads, and it gets them into dealerships. They say, what is that car? Oh my gosh, it's a Hyundai. So I like the styling, and I'm actually just now noticing, look at this bottom color bit on the bumper right there in front. That is a giant H. There are so many H's around this car. It's like we're gonna have to go around and count the H's on one of these new Hyundais. The next three pros kind of fall under interior layout and thoughtfulness. First of all, what's impressed me the most with this Hyundai Santa Fe and the one that I tested earlier last year is how well thought out everything is in the interior. Between moving the shifter over to the column, which frees up all of the center console space, the fact we've got real physical buttons on the steering wheel, real physical controls here in the center console for HVAC and infotainment elements, and then look at all this thoughtfulness around the interior. We've got this wireless device charger here that grips the phone, has it sit right out in the open, allows me to see notifications if I would like, and then also essentially does the best job at passively cooling the phone without actually having an active cooler on there because it's elevated a little bit, helps get some airflow. In the calligraphy models, you actually get 2 wireless device chargers, so even better. Then these giant cup holders, which fit my 32-ounce water bottle easily and have the little feet to kind of hold them down. And then I can also put the water bottle in the door pocket, so plenty of water bottle storage. This center console that not only goes both ways, but is so deep that I can take, this is a little divider, I can take this tray out, and it goes so far down and in, so you can put tons of things in the center console. Then you've got storage down here below, so you could put something like a fanny pack or a smaller purse or other things, and it's grippy down there, so stuff's not going to rattle and slide around. And then over on the passenger side, you have storage up here, which again, grippy, storage right here, and then a conventional glove box. So they actually sat in and designed this Santa Fe with the idea of, hey, we need to optimize and best use all this space around the vehicle, And they did it. So even the fact that we have a drive shaft going through the center here, they made this center console area remarkably useful. So between the controls, the thoughtfulness, the ease of use, and the good execution of all the elements of this interior, I absolutely love being in the Santa Fe. Next pro is, remarkably, the sound system. Now, it's not to say that this 6-speaker sound system is fantastic, but I was expecting for it to be much worse when I saw that the Calligraphy model gets the 12-speaker Bose, but this has half as many speakers and it's unbranded. These speakers actually sound plenty fine. It doesn't quite have the bass kicking out of it without a subwoofer, but I was able to listen to a lot of my favorite music and crank it up loud and have a good amount of fidelity still there. So they must have used a pretty good quality speaker in here, because I was totally fine with this one. And I'm happy to know that, because I would probably get an SEL hybrid if I were going to purchase a Santa Fe. And so I'm glad to know that I don't have to spend extra to get that Bose system and get a bunch of other features that I don't really care for, and I can still enjoy my music in this 6-speaker. The next pro with this XRT model specifically is the fact that you get that 4,500 pound tow rating. And like I said earlier in the video, yes, you could use it for towing 4,500 pounds, maybe something like a small boat, jet skis, snowmobiles, utility trailer, a camper, that sort of thing. However, I suspect that more people are going to benefit from the fact that that allows you to have 450 pounds of weight on the trailer hitch. So if you get something like a bicycle carrier that can carry 2 bikes, and you've got the leverage out there, and then you get 2 maybe 70-pound electric bicycles on there, you can still safely carry that around with the Santa Fe. And, could the hybrid models do that, or the non-XRTs? Maybe, but you're not going to have the warranty coverage and the insurance coverage like you do with this one that covers you more so with that 4,500 pound tow rating. My last pro driving the Santa Fe XRT around is just the concept that Hyundai is giving you so many options now with this Santa Fe model. You can get front-wheel drive, you can get all-wheel drive, you can get hybrid, you can get gas, you can get more city-oriented, luxury like the Calligraphy, giving you ventilated seats and dual wireless chargers and upgraded sound system, or you can get something like this XRT, and it's more rugged and somewhat off-road capable and looks cool and everything like that. So they're really building a robust lineup in this vehicle, and I really like that, because unlike that Tucson that's right across the street there, which I think is also very good, that Tucson's going to be a little bit limited for more people, with up to, I'd say, 4 members in their family. The Santa Fe is cool because you can get into one of these for well under the averaged new car transaction price and take 7 people and do lifestyle and get good fuel economy. It's the size of vehicle that complements the lifestyle of most people. In fact, my mother drives a vehicle in this class, a midsize crossover, and she almost always just has one person in the car. She just likes having enough space in it to pretty much whatever comes her way, she can tackle with her vehicle. So even though she's only getting low 20s in fuel economy daily driving, she just likes having a midsize crossover. And I think a lot of people are going to benefit from having a midsize crossover, and they're going to like this size and usability. So the fact that Hyundai offers it in so many different flavors, I quite appreciate. So it's no big surprise that I've enjoyed the Santa Fe. I like that the XRT model exists. As I said, I personally would probably still be getting the hybrid SEL. I'd love to have the Calligraphy. Just for me personally, I can't quite justify that price jump, but an SEL hybrid Santa Fe in one of these more fun colors, that is a great car. And if you're somebody who does do a lot of kind of outdoorsy, dirt road, lifestyle-y sort of things, I can definitely see the argument for the XRT. But we do have to put the Santa Fe XRT on the Daily Motor Leaderboard. And this is going to be interesting. I've never had a previous model year winner come back and get ranked. However, looking at the lineups, man, we've had a really stacked year so far. Nissan Armada, Hyundai Sonata, Honda Civic, and Lincoln Nautilus. I love all of these cars, but this one's going up at the top. Very much appreciated it. Would absolutely put it in my garage. So thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more on the new Santa Fe, check the link below. Like I said, we've got oodles of coverage at this point. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.